moving at the speed of a concussed snail. Hey everyone, I'm Kit. This week, I am doing a bunch of new things that I have been looking forward to for a long time. In terms of where I'm traveling, we are going back to the Charles C. Deam Wilderness, but I'm finally going to explore the west side of the wilderness area. Back when I was first planning early backpacking trips, I'd been scouting some routes towards Patton Cave. And while it looked exciting, the Saddle Creek area has been flooded out for most of the year. So I'm really excited to finally be able to get there and check out one of the first things I started dreaming about, and also to show off some other things that I've been planning for a long time and am excited to finally be doing. I'm also just really ready for a couple days alone in the woods. I need some me time. So just a little bit further to drive and then we'll be ready to hit the trail. All right, it is about 1:45 and we are finally at the trailhead. I am at the Grubb trailhead on the west side, next to the Blackwell Horse Camp. It's the first time I've come to this area. It's nice, it's spacious. There's actually vault toilets at this trailhead, which is a fun surprise. The weather is very sunny, but cool and crisp, and it's supposed to get a little chilly and windy tonight, so I packed some extra wool to stay warm. The plan is to head pretty much straight north towards Patton Cave. And then from there, I'll decide if I'm camping next to the cave or getting down to the lake, maybe trying to find Site 24 tonight. Just kind of playing it by ear. I'm about half a mile down the trail. It is absolutely gorgeous out here. As much as I've felt like I'm becoming incredibly familiar with the Charles C. Deam, it's different over on this side. Some of it's just the seasonal difference. It is well and truly fall. Leaf color is out, if not at peak, and the trails are covered in crunchy leaves. This trail in particular is kind of a little side branch of Grubb Ridge Loop that goes more straight north from the trailhead, and it's definitely been a little more rough and rooty than I expected. But now that I've come down to the Saddle Creek bed, I mean, it's going to have its own creek bed terrain challenges, but it's going to be pretty flat for quite a while from here on out. It's just lovely out here. This area makes me think a little more of some of the places I did hiking more as a kid, and feeling really lucky to be out here. One of my struggles right now is that, unfortunately, despite me doing a little better with migraines lately, of course, I started having a migraine on the drive down. So I took my rescue meds, and I'm in decent shape, but all of that clambering down, I could feel it in my leg muscles, how I'm not at peak. So I'm going to have to take it easy, try not to overexert or have any unpleasant trips and falls. So I'm annoyed, that my body's not cooperating, but I'm getting pretty good at working within that lack of cooperation sometimes. Between the way that the trail braids with the stream down here and the amount of leaf cover on the ground, it's easy for me to lose my place a little bit, and I keep having to track back to find the trail. But one of the things I find astonishing is how immediately I recognize when I'm on the trail once I actually hit it. It's maybe not super evident on camera, but just the little groove that my feet nestle into as I keep moving. It makes me feel very connected to the people who've hiked out here, even as I'm out here having the whole place to myself. All right, I've made it just over a mile. My pace is very slow because I keep stopping to look at all of the beautiful leaves and mushrooms and trees and rocks and water and the sunlight slanting down. But that's okay because that's how I enjoy hiking. And because I got a much earlier start today than was at all necessary to make it to camp. I estimate I'm about halfway to the cave. I keep seeing traces of water, even moving water in the creek bed. So that makes me a little more hopeful that I might not have to dry camp if I choose to camp by the cave, because it does look like it'll be a little bit of a scramble to get past the cave to Site 24. But we'll see when I get there how I'm feeling, what I want to do. It's one of the huge luxuries of solo camping is just being fully free to make decisions based on what I'm feeling at the moment. Alright, I've branched off of the Grubb Ridge leg that I was on, and I'm now on the quasi-unofficial Patton Cave Trail. It doesn't show up on any Forest Service maps, but it does show up on some other maps that I've researched. And it's clearly a feature of the woods that people do like to visit. Still got a little ways to go. Just meandering across this quite flat valley floor. A little tired, but having fun. Alright, so I'm about 2¼ miles in and having to make some real navigation decisions. This is actually Saddle Creek, apparently not what I was hiking up along. But right around the intersection of Saddle Creek with the Patton Cave Trail, there was an established campsite where people had already pitched up camp. So in trying to not go too close to the campsite, I definitely veered off trail a little bit. And now the Patton Cave Trail is up that hill somewhere, according to my map, which is not ideal. I don't want to scramble straight up that. So I'm catching my breath for a minute, and then I think I'm just going to follow Saddle Creek for a while. Saddle Creek will eventually take me to that campsite 24, and if that's just where I end up for the day, that's okay. If I see a good route up the hill, up to the top of the ridge, I'll take that, but I also won't mind staying down in the creek valley because the occasional high wind gusts do make me feel a little better down here than up on the ridges. I tried getting up the hill a little, thinking I was following a deer trace, and did not go well, so yeah. I wish things would go according to plan, but I should know better by now. So I could keep following the creek, but I did spot this. And given that I just got my feet wet following people's footprints, I think going up is probably the better plan. I don't even know anymore. I think we've got the campsite above the cave. It's a good place for a long rest break, is any, I think. Charged up a little, rested up a little, and also got enough phone signal to double check my weather. It is still incredibly unlikely that it will rain, but it is even more wind in the forecast, and I can sure feel it up here more than I could down in the valley. Actually getting a little chilly trying to rest up here. So in a minute, I'm going to be packing up and seeing if I can find my way down the other side of this. Find a lower campsite for the night where I get a little more wind shelter and ideally some water access. This looks like the way down, but a little questionable. I'm gonna explore it with both hands free for a minute. Now, time to keep finding our way down and hopefully find Site 24 on the other side of this. This was absolutely all underwater earlier this year, but it's very pretty now. Just a little more flat trumping to where my map says Site 24 is. First real view of the lake, just a little further around the curve. This is not ideal. This little path was a lie. Dead-ended in thick water brush. So we're climbing up into the woods a little more. Trying to find a route in there. Like, at least a quarter mile away from where the map has it. It's Site 24. First things first, pitching. Then dinner. Water collection if I have time, sun, and energy. Okay, for dinner tonight, I am finally living up to my backpacking camping dreams. Despite being exhausted, I'm doing it anyway. I am making backcountry Roman-style Alfredo. I am literally riffing off of the Serious Eats recipe by Daniel Gritzer. I packed in about an ounce of Parmesan cheese, grated on the correct style of grater to get the super fine grinds. I packed in about an ounce of butter that was frozen solid when I put it in my bear can this morning, which means it's just a good, soft, diceable temperature right now. And I am rehydrating with hot water my instant noodles at the moment. And in a minute here, I'm going to drain the water out back into the pot so I have reserved pasta water. And then quickly stir in the butter and Parmesan. And we'll see how this goes. I'm really excited to try it though, because this is my absolute favorite way to make Alfredo at home. And I feel very tickled that I found a way to try to do it out here. Oh my goodness. I needed just a splash of pasta water, but that is perfect emulsified sauce. Yeah, this wins the battle of the noodles in no contest. It has to be cold enough weather that you can pack out the butter like that, but this is a million times better than anything else. All right, folks, it is only 7:15, but the sun has gone down and it's rapidly getting dim, and it is also rapidly getting cold. So I have gone ahead and gotten myself into full cozy mode for now. I do not expect to sleep for a while, but it's probable this will be my last check-in with you until the morning. Today was not according to plan, just like this whole trip was a little bit having to be replanned last minute. But I'll tell you a little bit more about all of that tomorrow. For now, I'm just glad that I ended up somewhere really beautiful, had a fantastic dinner, and I have plenty of time in the morning to figure out what it is that I'm going to do next. I snuck down to the point to see if I could get any phone signal to text my family goodnight. It's cutting in and out real bad here, but I did manage to communicate and get an I love you back, which is lovely. I'm trying to sit it out and not get too chilled because the clouds are gorgeous. I can see the heron out on the lake, but the breeze is starting to pick up again, and I did not put any of my wind blocking layers, so I'm gonna have to sneak back up into the cozy down pretty soon. But it's a beautiful evening. Good morning, folks. I slept acceptably, given the givens. I stayed pretty warm. I'm very grateful to Turtle for lending me this brown wool cardigan zip up because it definitely helped as an extra cozy layer. I do think the moments that I got just a little cooler than was perfectly comfortable are more in tweaking my gear setup
than my insulation being insufficient. This trip and the next trip we have planned are kind of testing. Our top quilts and underquilts are rated for 20 Fahrenheit. They are also definitely on the cheaper scale for down insulation, so we weren't sure how close to that we could exactly push it. According to the forecast, the temperature should be about 40 degrees right now. And I realized right as I was waking up that part of why I was getting cool was that my underquilt tension wasn't quite right. I had about an inch of air gap in between the underquilt and my shoulders. I did struggle to stay asleep. I ended up just falling into a rhythm of waking up a little bit every time there was a big gust, and then falling asleep almost instantly as it died off, just because they were loud, and I was nervous that this site wasn't quite as sheltered from the wind as I had hoped. So I think that's helped decide me that I am packing up and moving on this morning. Not home yet, just exploring around a little more and finding a second site for the second day. But to do that, I have to crawl out of the down, and I don't quite want to do that yet. Okay, I really should probably get up. Oh, the lake is so pretty. I'm gonna take you guys down to look at it while I make coffee and breakfast. And then I'll come join you. My trip this week was originally supposed to be an entirely different trip, actually. I'd planned to try to check out a completely new to me area of the Hoosier National Forest, about a mile further south from here. But when I arrived at the trailhead, despite all available online resources, official resources from the Forest Service, saying that this site was open for backpacking, the trailhead signage was plastered with day use only warnings. So, had a little breakdown about that at the trailhead. Drove home, regrouped, and then came out here the next day. So it just seems a little fitting that, like, all of the hike yesterday didn't go according to plan. And partially because of that, today I'm not doing the more ambitious plan that I set up that night. I was regrouping at home. Instead of trying to strike out and see if I could go up the ravine here, all the way up to sites 12 or 13 at Grubb Ridge, I'm going to try to pick a more sane route right around the mouth of this inlet and then back towards Patton Cave, and then either scout the leg of Patton Cave Trail I intended to take, or go down the other leg of Patton Cave Trail to see a historic cemetery and maybe camp down in the Saddle Creek Valley again tonight. Before I do any of that, though, I need to change into day clothes, filter some water, and pack up camp. All right, my camp is packed. The breeze is chilly, but I'm ready to get moving and warm up. Let's get back up to the cave. Goodbye, campsite. You were gorgeous but windy. I would love to come back in calmer weather. All right, I finally found a path that was kind of in the inlet that I tried and dead-ended into yesterday, mostly by following what are probably deer paths. I didn't see one human footprint, but mostly deer prints. Shouldn't have to fight for any more brush that day today. I am not sure this site is meant to be accessed by land, at least maybe not by me. That was my campsite. It took almost half an hour of intense bushwhacking just to get to here. I am gonna be sad to be saying goodbye to these gorgeous lake views because, like, whoa, the sun on the trees. But we'll find other cool things to look at. I am but a large mammal participating in the ecosystem. Two-thirds of the way up. Hello, cave. Hope all you bats are sleeping well. All right, it is almost 12:30, so it took me a little under an hour and a half to get back up on top of the cave. I actually climbed down a little into the lee side of the hill for a sheltered spot to sit and eat lunch. That was a hard little start to the morning, but a rest break and no food should bring me back. And this is a really gorgeous place to relax. Okay, I have eaten lunch, texted my family the updated hike plan, pulled fresh weather reports, and I'm ready to head off down the other leg of the Patton Cave Trail. So, wish me luck, I guess. Yet again, there's not much of a trail here, just kind of a slight dip in the land. There's many reasons why I'm glad I didn't actually do this trip as a fresh baby backpacker, but one of them is that I'm glad I put a lot of skill into finding trail, because it's definitely something you have to develop eyes for, and I need those eyes right now. It's not just my eyes too, my feet know when I'm on old trail. I had to step off to go around some blowdown, and well, I used my eyes to find my way back. The minute I was stepping on this, I can feel the faint groove, but also just how much more packed the ground is here, because at some point this was heavily used. Not so sure anymore. Aha! I have reached Grubb Ridge. I might scout that other leg of the cave trail someday, but it's good to know that this way is pretty accessible, even if it is also pretty faint. Nice, easy miles up here on the Grubb Trail, which is good because I am really feeling tired. I think my off-trail adventures and any interrupted sleep are hurting me a little more than I thought they were, but it's not super far yet to the place where I want my camp at. And before that, definitely a spot where I want to take a bit more. And here, apparently, cemetery. Okay, by cemetery we mean like 2 graves and 1 updated memorial. This is a lovely, lovely old tree to be buried under, though. I do enjoy an old historic cemetery. Not sure I've been to one quite this small family cemetery before. This is a very peaceful spot. Somehow we seem to be almost entirely in the lee of the wind. It's a good spot. So tracking is not nice, easy miles. The trail is a lot less level on these switchbacks, so my ankles and feet are getting very tired and sore very quickly. But I'm not at the bottom yet, so keep going. Alright, so I hit what is marked as a branch of Saddle Creek. But where Grubb crosses it here, it is completely dry, so after I rest my poor little feet for a minute, I'm going to just go down Saddle Creek. As far as intersecting with where I came up. And ended up off trail. Because I know that I want to camp where I can refill my water. And I have only done 2 miles for today, so doing a little extra isn't going to hurt. I can take it slow. It's like 2 p.m. I am moving at the speed of a concussed snail, but that doesn't matter because I've run all day. Alright, I am finally caught up to the part of Saddle Creek that is consistently wet. I am also extremely close to where I saw this other beginning, so despite the fact that there's lots of good open space that I could be scouting for sites, I think I'm going to go look at that one first to see if they're gone, because they did have hammocks, so I know it's got good hammock spacing, and I smelled wood smoke, which means I could maybe have a fire tonight if I have the energy. I bet that is the uphill of the Patton Cave Trail I missed. I have found the campsite, and it is empty, so it is mine. I almost wish I'd taken a closer look at that campsite now, because despite seeing multiple hammocks up, I didn't really track which trees they were using. And I spent a lot of time scouting around trying to find two that are the kind of spacing I like, and not hanging on a dead or very sick looking tree, and not too terribly close to something that might fall over on me either. So yeah, I finally found something. It's a little closer to the creek than is necessarily the absolute best leave no trace ideal, but I'm going to put my safe hang a little bit higher on the priority list there, and just be real responsible about all food and back-in activities taking place much further away from the creek. So now that I've caught my breath after all that hunting around and measuring tree distances, it's time to pitch the hay. That test lay was so comfy. I am just gonna take a little rest break here before I do any insulation or tarp. If I don't get chilled, I might even nap. Who knows? The world is my oyster or whatever. I laid down and read for a while. And then, as I got a little chilled, I got up and put up the tarp. And even just doing that took a lot out of me. I don't know if a fire is happening. It would be pleasant, but it would also be a lot of work. And I can get warm just fine, curling up in my insulation. And I won't feel like antisocial doing that. Solo camping. I was feeling a little bit down earlier when I first got to camp and realized that I had only covered a little over 2.5 miles, and it had taken me a little over 3 hours, and I was absolutely beat. That was not at all what I had in mind for going on a trip this week. I was all excited about trying to push my miles limits, but they are what they are, and there's no reason to make myself miserable. And not only did I have interrupted sleep last night and do an awful lot of off-trail maneuvers, which are way more exhausting than on-trail hiking, I also had a migraine yesterday, and it's easy to forget when they respond well to medication, but even on those days, the following day is still going to be the post-drum phase of migraine, which for me involves a lot of really severe fatigue. So I'm actually impressed that I managed maneuvering off trail as much as I did to get to the perfect site with plenty of time to give my body the rest it needs. And having that lazy afternoon and lazy evening is not only morally neutral, it is medically advised in this case. So I'll just keep reminding myself that. Triple check the seal, but this way it keeps me warm and I keep it warm. I might also make hot cider. I'm waiting for this to rehydrate. Sunset isn't for about another hour, apparently. But I forgot that being down in a valley meant I would lose direct sunlight a lot earlier as the sun went below the ridge. Should be enough light left for me to eat dinner and get changed though. And if not, that's what the headlamp's for. It's getting dark. As was forecasted, the wind has finally died down. Should be a quiet night. Good morning, folks. It is chilly. That is the coldest night of camping I've spent in a while, and the coldest night I have ever spent in a hammock. When I had to get up to pee at around sunrise, the thermodrop was reading 34 degrees. It has since warmed up to a balmy 38. I did struggle a little with being cold in the wee hours of the morning and right around sunrise. I think I could do a few tiny tweaks to underquilt fit, maybe, and I definitely could pack a couple more layers to wear to sleep. But this is about the edge of what I think my insulation can do in terms of comfort for sleeping, which is good to know for this kind of real edge shoulder season camping. Enough standing around. I need to make some hot coffee and then start packing up. All right, it's time to head back down this branch of the creek bed towards the Grubb Ridge Loop and my trailhead. About a mile down the trail from where I camped last night. I'm still sorting out how I feel about it being more active on this side in general. Regardless, it is so beautiful down on this side of the wilderness. Not quite 2 miles up the trail, but if I'm remembering right, this is the point where I start seriously climbing up out of this valley. So I'm taking a pack-off break, and I'm going to peruse my available snacks before beginning the climb. Not a super extreme climb, if I'm remembering correctly, but rather steep. It was fun going down. We'll see how fun it is going. The worst of the steep part. Oh my God, They're still up to go, but it looks more steady. Ooh, less steep. Oops. I'm gonna make it those last few steps.
All right. All in all, I'm going to say that was a pretty successful solo trip. I definitely had some escapades, but I also got to prove to myself that I am really comfortable exploring old or disused trail and really good at balancing risk and reward with that, which is kind of a cool way to feel. I also had a lot of fun pushing the limits on some of my existing gear, like my sleep system, and also trying out new gear like my new backpack. It carried weight fantastically, it was comfortable, it was easier to get on and off. I have a lot more thoughts about that I'll probably share in a more informational style video that I'll make sometime in upcoming cold months, because this trip also unfortunately proved there's a real limit to how late in the air I can backpack, and we are coming up on that rapidly. I also felt kind of sad about that most of the hike back, but I don't need to be sad yet. I just need to be tired and satisfied with my success and on my way back home so that I can take a shower and get some food. I'll see y'all next time.
Look, I've acquired so many friends.
Let's drink good